Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Today we are going to discuss the business process template. Before that, just quickly have a recap of the topics that we have discussed yesterday. Business process step configuration. I have already told you how to configure the step condition rules. Steps can be configured in view mode to add condition rules. Advanced routing we have discussed. Step delays notifications and define completion steps also. We have done it. Most of these configuration can be accessed using the related actions on the steps in the business process definition. So where you are going to configure anything that is related to the steps is going to be on the related actions of the steps only, not on the related action of your business process. Related actions on the steps. Now there are various step conditions. We have seen that validation conditions, entry conditions, while running condition, and exit conditions. We have already entered all the condition types. Now we have also seen the validations in Workday. Warning and error warning will give you an alert and it will allow you to save the changes or it can allow you to move forward. But error, it won't allow you to go ahead until and unless you satisfy that particular validation. Where we configure the validations in Workday. Can anyone tell me? I have shown you yesterday. In the step validation. In the step validation, I can't tell you. In the rules. Maintain validation steps. Where, on which step we configure the validations. Validations are configured on the initiation step. And conditions are configured on rest of the steps. Only validations will be configured on the initiation step. That means the first step of any business process. Initiation step. That is already being defaulted whenever you are creating any business process. You cannot delete or edit the initiation step. So validations need to be configured or validations are configured only at the initiation step. Even I have provided the activity document also for the validation configuration of the validation rules. Validation conditions. So just go through that activity document also. So validation condition would check a transaction for a set of predefined conditions. And if the conditions are true, the validation rule will be triggered and it gives the user a warning or error. If it is false, the process will be executed and it moves to the next step of the transaction. It's the same whenever you configure the validation condition. If it is true, it will give you a warning or an error. And if it is false, it will automatically. That means it has satisfied the condition and you will move to the next step of the transaction. That means the second step. I have shown how the validations are configured and how we are configuring the validation messages as well. Yesterday, we have done it. And if you have any doubt how to create it, go through the activity document. I think activity document number 7 or 8 is the validation one. 8 month. So here comes how we configured the validation message. Directly scroll to your business process. You will see a tab as validation. Validation rule will be there. Go to the related action office and configure the validation message. Now, advanced routing. We have already discussed this particular topic as well yesterday. How and when we are going to configure the advanced routing. You can define routing restrictions and alternate routings for certain business process steps. Routing restrictions enable you to configure business process steps so that selected individuals are excluded from the workflow routing based on the selections. There comes the concept of advanced routing. So they can see, if you know the concept, how to have a question they will ask you. I don't want the manager who has initiated the proposed compensation hire to approve it. What concept you are going to apply in the business process? So your answer should be advanced routing. And if they are going to ask if it is advanced routing, the exclamation mark on the workflow diagram should show us it's advanced routing. That's in the workflow diagram. Exclamation marks will be there. Mark will be there for the advanced routing. But how you are going to configure that, we have to tell them. We will just go to the step condition. We will configure the advanced routing and likewise. So these are all the various tabs that we have already discussed yesterday while configuring the advanced routing. Alternate security group related to the transaction related to the excluded user. This is the definition. If you guys want, you can note it down. Alternate security groups. You can define an alternate security group for routing in the event that the original group assigned has been excluded. For example, if the HR partner has been excluded, we can reroute the approval to the manager. Note you can only select the security groups that have access to perform the same steps. Related to the transaction. Use this option to use the subject of the transaction as a reference when routing the transaction. For example, on hire process, if the alternate security group is the manager, the system will look for the manager of the employee being hired. That's what we have discussed yesterday. Who is the subject? That's the employee for whom the transaction is being carried out. We have discussed all these tabs in detail yesterday. Related to the excluded user. Use this option to use the excluded user as a reference when routing the transaction. For example, on a hire process, if the excluded user is the HR partner and the alternate is the manager, the system will look for the manager of the HR partner, not the manager of the employee being hired. So I hope that advanced routing is clear to all because we have discussed it in delayed. This is the step delay that we have discussed yesterday itself. See here it is written, during the specified delay, the remaining steps are removed from the inbox of any responsible approver. The step will return to the inbox upon completion of the specified delay condition. So it will be removed from the inbox automatically based on the delay. On which tab you have selected, whether it is prior step completion date or process initiation date. Now this is business process time configuration. See something that we are not having access in our training. Tenant is edit. Tenant setup. Note down this task somewhere, wherever you are noting it down your notes and all. So note it down, edit tenant setup -HCM. We don't have access to all these particular tasks. If you want to set anything, see here, because since this is a training tenant, so we don't have in training tenant, our access is restricted. So I will show you the task name. The moment I will click on it, it will go. So I'm just for a reference, I'm just showing you the task and reports. See edit tenant setup HCM. This is the task where if you click on it, you will get all the settings for all the topics, all the tabs that are related. If you make any changes, it will be affected on whole tenant. For example, if I have access for this particular task, I will open it. If I configure the time zone here as PST, that means whenever I'm opening anything, I'm doing any changes, my time zone will be PST. Remember, we are using whenever we are configuring the business process on our supervisory organization. We used to get that effective date and time. So our time zone is PST. From where that PST is getting defaulted from. Here we are configuring some. There are a few settings that we are configuring on our whole tenant setup. So edit tenant setup HCM. If you want to set anything based on the notification, whole tenant want to set up it. So it is here done. Done. Anything related to the notifications. So any settings that is reflected all over the tenant. There is a task edit tenant setup and various suffixes will be there. For example, HCM and notifications, Workday global payroll, anything related to payroll. I think we do have access for payroll settings. See, this is how that screen look like. I'm just opening it for your FYI. So since I have access for this particular task. Edit tenant setup payroll not for HCM. So I'm just showing it to you for your reference. For example, payroll. Now in this tenant, payroll is enabled for these 4 countries. Canada, France, United Kingdom and USA. You can run payroll only for these 4 countries. Why? Because your tenant, your whole training tenant, is only enabled for these 4 countries. If anything related to payroll input that needs to be done over the tenant, it would be done here. Pay retro anything. Anything related to tax that is effective over whole tenant, that would be same over the whole tenant in spite of the access. So it will be done here. Similarly, we have the task edit tenant setup HCM task. In that we will have all the settings like time zone or anything related to positions. Whenever position is created, whether the position ID needs to be created with zeros or 8 digits or something like that. So settings will be done here. Those kind of settings. So just remember this task because we don't have access. Even I don't have access. The moment I click on it, it was not getting opened. See, it will go the moment I click on it. It will go from my page. So for as of now, just note it down this task. So the default time zone for Workday tenant is specific. See, this is the tab that will occur in your Edit Tenant Setup Task Time Zone configuration. You are going to default here. The default time zone will be mentioned in the Edit Tenant Setup HCM task. So yesterday you said that we can put like 1 day or 2 day, whatever we want. So can we do any specific date? For example, it is January 9th and I want this notification to be sent on January 12th. Is there any way that I can put any specific date? No, the steps are already defined. It will be given 1 day or 2 day. The moment it will be corrected. It will go to the. We are not authorized to get the date. It will only get delayed by the days. Number of days. The moment it come to the inbox because we don't know. Earlier step manager is when manager is going to use it will be lying in his or her inbox. The moment he approves it, it will come to your inbox. And then by that date. For example, the manager has approved on 10th if we have given the 9th date here. Anything date-wise cannot be defaulted because all the has won't be done at a single date. The step delays will be given on the number of days. If we are giving date, then how come? The highest. For example, if I will give 9th of January as the date, are you going to carry all the highs before 9th of January? No, you can do that even on the end of January or February, March, April, anything. And this day's calendar is not like working days or not like that. It's business. It's business days. Business days. Or calendar days. That I haven't checked. It is the delay spot. I think it's going to be business days only because the managers will take action on the business days. The date and the days that are mentioned here will be business days on the business working days. Because normally, if I get anything on Friday and if I want this notification to be sent to the recipient on Monday, how many days should I put? Because in between, in Canada, USA, this Saturday, Sunday is off. So should I include this as a 2 days or no? If you have completed it on Friday and in the manager inbox, it will directly. Once you have completed it on Friday, it will go there on Friday itself. So automatically it will be calculated on Monday. Plus, you are not going to configure step delays every time you are doing hour. It will be configured once at the starting. Whenever you are doing the implementation, you are not going to change the step delay at each and every hire. 2 days means 2 days only. So first, suppose if a manager has got this step on Friday, he or she will get it will get disappeared. If you have entered the step delay for 2 days, it will disappear on Friday and Monday, and it will again come on in his or her inbox on Tuesday. So 2 days of step delay will be there. It's not every time. Whenever you are doing hire, you are going to configure or edit the business process. Business process will be configured at the starting until and unless some major process changes there or something they want to add, some conditions they want to add, you are not going to configure step delay for each and every hire. It's for a business process. It's for a business process. It's not for a single hire that you are going to. If I'm going to hire, for example, say, again I'm going to change the step delay and then again I'm going to hire Teresa. I'm going to change the step delay. No, it will be configured at the start of my project itself. Whenever I'm configuring the business process. Ankita, one more question. So can we set the time period? For example, the approval has to be done within 3 days. Something like that also we can do. Yes, we can do it at the due date and it will just give you an alert. It's not going to get disappear or deleted or anything. You can set up the due date. That at the starting itself there is a column due date. That needs to be completed by this. But due dates won't remove anything or won't add anything specific to your process. It will simply give an alert to the manager, or we can say that whosoever the security group is, it's not going to be get disappeared. Or the process. You cannot carry the process beyond the due date. It will simply give you an alert or a message type of notification that this process is pending in your inbox. So till the due date, it will not go to the next step. Even after that also, it won't go to the next step till the time the specified security group has approved it. It will lie in that particular security group only. Is there any option to do auto approval as well? So once the due date has come, it has to be auto approved if not approved by the manager. I haven't seen that. But yes, I can go ahead and check it if anything is configured on my client system. I haven't seen that auto approval part. Ankita, I have a question. So regarding the business process and then step delays and then when you configure the steps. So and then it's pending with a manager or a subordinate manager or that particular group manager. That additional step. If the manager is not available and he is on leave for that particular group, what will happen? So they have to wait for that particular time or else they will. Someone will cancel the H. Our admin will cancel the business process and they will restart the business process. Or else they will delegate it to someone else in spite of manager. The delegation part we will learn afterward. How to delegate the task. Once we are into the hire business process means once we are hiring the employee, we will discuss that delegation in that hiring because I cannot show you now that how you're going to delegate your steps. So if I am the manager, when I will be doing the hire, I will show you how to delegate your task to someone else if you are not going to take the action. I cannot show you now because I don't have any hire pending in my system. So delegation topics, we will park it when we are doing it hire. Just remind me when we will be doing the hiring of the employee. So business process notifications we have already discussed. Workday delivers a number of system notifications. System notifications also, we have seen it. How many system notifications are there? If you don't want to send the system notifications, just remove them. You know how to go there. Go to the notification tab of your business process and go to the manage system notification and disable them. You don't want to send the system notification. A system notification means the notifications that are already delivered by Workday. Notifications are sent to users assigned to a step to alert them that they have pending action. While these notifications cannot be modified, you can specify the notifications enabled or disabled. This can be configured by a maintain system notifications. You can also create notification that trigger custom notification. Yesterday we have created it. So you can create it by a business process and notification. So recipients you have already discussed. You can send notification to specific groups or to email addresses. Trigger. Specify the notification triggered by the status of the business process or when the business process enters or exists as steps you specify. Why I'm going fast with this? Because we have already discussed these topics yesterday. I have demonstrated in the tenant itself. Condition rules. Notification trigger include that trigger specification and the rules you specify. Both triggers must be met before the notification is sent. So now there was a tab where you can see on the hand side, try configuring the condition rule. For example, if the country is equal to USA, then only send that notification. You can send the notification both based on the condition rules as well. Now email option. Email option. Can we send it to a distribution list? Yes, because distribution list will also have an email. So we are pointing out to that particular email address. It's not synced with the GEL, the global address list. And then there comes the subject and the body like we have configured yesterday. Now how to manage the business process. This, you need to note it down somewhere. That in progress business process can only be cancelled and corrected. The business process that are in progress. You can cancel them and you can correct them, but you cannot rescind the business process that are in progress. Always remember, if any business process is having a status of in progress, that means the business process is now in progress. You can only cancel them and correct them. Correct means if you want to correct, for example, hire date. So you can click on the correct option and you can correct the hire date. Now your hire business process is in progress and as well as cancel it. You can cancel it and then you have to again restart or again the hiring restart that particular business process. That means the hiring that we are carrying on. So, and whenever your business process successfully completed, for example, I have done my hiring, completed my employees visible under the members tab of my supervisory organization. And I can see that means my business process successfully completed. Somehow someone comes and told me that first I don't want this particular employer hired him wrongly. Now you can see that you can only resend or correct it. You can only resend or correct the data. You cannot cancel that business process. So successfully completed. You can only resend and correct an in progress business process. You can only cancel and correct this. This is going to be a very good question for MCQ or your interview as well. So whenever you are going for certification, these small questions will be there. So here it is written clearly cancel. Only business process that are in the status of in progress can be cancelled. This action ends the business process transition. Again, you have to start it from the scratch. Recent business processes that are in the status of completely successfully completed can be rescinded to undo that transaction in Workday. Certain VPs are not rescindable either because of Workday functionality or because subsequent actions have been taken. No, there is no way to undo a rescind. There is no way to undo a cancel as well. There is no way to cancel or rescind any of the business process. You cannot undo that particular thing. Now correct. Certain business process in the status of in progress or successfully completed can be corrected to change some or all of the business process data element. For example, hire date and the employee is not going to join. We have given the hire date as of 9th of January and the employee is not going to join on 9th of January. So already the employee is being hired. So we are going to correct that particular hire date and we are going to give it as 10th of January whenever the employee is going to join the organization. So this is how we are going to manage the business process. So you will do this when you are going to hire the employee in your supervisory organization. You will see that whenever you are hiring, you will be stuck. Plus, this is a training tenant. So definitely it's going to have lots of if and buts in it. So definitely you can, because everyone will be using this tenant now. I am also using the same tenant. You are also using the same, even when you are going to work for your client as well. There is going to be a development tenant. So mostly development tenants will be refreshed from that production tenant. But now, if we are using the training tenant, it won't be refreshed from where we are going to refresh it, because it's a training tenant. So training tenants, usually in all the organization, if you got the access of the training tenant in your organization, you will see that the data won't be appropriate or you won't have full access, full control. Ankit, can you please repeat this recent one? Recent means whenever your business process is completed. For example, hire and you told that now this employee is not going or I have hired the wrong employee. This was not the employee. So I am going to rescind that particular business process because already the employee is hired. That means hire business process is successfully completed for that particular hire. No, we cannot do. Undo means what they want to say is, once we have rescinded it, I found that, oh, I have hired the wrong employee. I'm going to rescind it. Now I have rescinded. Now someone comes and tells me that, oh Ankit, why you have rescinded it? It was the correct employer. Now you don't have any option to undo. That particular thing means now I have rescinded it. I cannot undo it and I cannot restore that particular employee. There is no other option left for me. Again, I have to go ahead and I have to means I have to again hire that particular employee. That means I cannot undo my recent action. So it's in the first line, it's mentioned successfully completed. That can be rescinded. That means if I have already hired an employee, that means my business process is successfully completed for that particular employee. Because the employee is hired into the system. Correct? Now, since the employee is hired, that means my BP is successfully completed. Now, I don't want that employee in the system. So what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to cancel the business process or I'm going to resend the business process, I will resend it because my employee is successfully completed, successfully hired. Now, once you have resended that particular business process, you cannot undo it. It is written here. There is no way to undo a resend. Now coming to next topic, business process templates in GitHub. But whichever employees hire isn't pro is in progress. Everything will get cancelled. We are going to hire or we are going to cancel only that particular hire. Not all. You're not going to cancel the business process. We are going to cancel the hire BP of that particular employee. Once I will show you. That's what I just told you, to note it down. Once we hire the employee, then you can go ahead and cancel it or resend it once you are done with the hiring concept or the termination concept. So now business process templates in Workday. In Workday, some of the business processes are template driven to provide a streamlined experience to the user for data entry. Business process like termination, change of proposed compensation, etc. allows user to use templates as we have one business process security policy per business process. Similarly, we have one template applicable for all business process definitions. Each section of the template is represented through our domain and secured under domain security policy. For example, whenever we are carrying out a termination. So whenever we are carrying out a termination, termination will need some kind of data. When the employee will be terminated, what is the reason you are terminating the employee? What is the organization or whether you want to rehire that particular employee or not in future in your organization or the employee is back blacklisted. Any kind of such thing. That few of the business process that is template driven. You can note down these few business process for core HCM and termination, change of or proposed compensation. A few of the examples that we use commonly. Termination and change of. We are going to look into our training class itself. Template driven means some kind of template will be defined for them. The template is not editable. It is defined by Workday itself. Always note it down. A template will be defined by Workday itself. We can only change the security. That means I want termination reason to be entered only by the managers, HR partners, and HR admin. I can control only the security part. That means the termination reason will only be entered by the HR partner, HR admin, or the manager only. Because I have defined the security in such a way for my termination business process. Always remember, business process is not editable. It is delivered by Workday. We can only control the security part. So we will go through that template, various templates of the termination, as well as a change of. I will show you the fields that are being delivered. We can only look into those fields. Even you can also open that particular task and you can refer it. See here. View business process. Template report is the task. Note it down somewhere. View business process template. Task name is View business process template. To see a list of all business process type that use templates. Business templates include these configurable areas. Section group to call for validations, instructional text, and task security. We will open it in the tenant and I will go through that. Now security part. We will discuss it how to define the security domain. We will discuss it in our security process. I will show you how the business process template will look like. So the task name is View business process template. So this is the task. View Business Process Template. It's a report that is delivered by Workday. The moment you click on this, the various options that is available. See all these business processes. Then these are the names of the business process. That means all these business processes are template driven. See here, you cannot see the higher business process because higher business process is not template driven. That's why I haven't told you during the higher topic. So higher business process, once you enter it, you won't see it. Now I will go through the termination. And same is the topic, that is, we can say it as a change job. Now there is one more quick cheat code that I use. Sometimes what will happen is whenever you will try searching the default definition. It's not something that Workday tells you or something that needs to be learned. But I'm just telling you the cheat code. Whenever you will search for the default definition, because it's a training tenant, and there are n number of higher definitions and Workday will only display top 100 higher definitions. And since it is being used widely, this training can be used by more than 100 employees. They have used it and they have created their own higher business process. So what will happen is you won't be able to see the default definition. Sometimes it happens. So go from here and you can open the higher definition as well. I will let you know where I used to open. So sometimes it happens that we are not getting it now. I will just tell you. But tomorrow I will just cross-check in my system how I used to check, because sometimes it happens with me as well. I'm not able to see the default definitions. It will be hidden somewhere. Hidden means it will be just a new higher business process. Definitions will be there and we won't be able to see the default definition. So this is the thing. The template that will be configured. Section group. Once you will terminate any employee, if I have access, you will see that there is a section group. Reason notice period will be there. What is a notice period? Because the moment I will enter the termination, whether I'm going to self-resign or something, it will ask me if I'm going to resign from any of my organization, it will ask me some details. To whosoever I have the access. Reason will have some dependent section, detail section, notice period and then rehire eligibility. There is again notice period. That will have the details section. Then details. Then regrettable. Whether you want to rehire the employee, termination is regrettable or not. This is something you see that it is non-editable. You cannot edit it. You cannot edit anything. It is something that is already driven by Workday only. Given by Workday only. Now what we can do is we can always define the task security. Whether termination details, who can have access. View access and modify access. We can define it. I will show you how you are going in the security class. There is a separate topic, how you are going to create a security group. So you are going to define the security group. But as of now, just remember, templates means any of the business process template. You can only define the security rest. All will be delivered by Workday only. Whatsoever. We have no control over it. We cannot change it, just the security part. If I want Ankita to view this, only view this termination details, so she cannot edit it. She cannot enter any data in that termination details. Termination. Regrettable is the field that is automatically defined by Workday only. We cannot change this field, but we can define the security. I want Ankita to have modify access to this particular field. Modify means you can view as well. If you are giving modify access to any field, automatically that particular security group will have view access as well. So rehire eligibility. Whether you want to rehire the employee or not. So these all fields you will see that will be defaulted by Workday itself whenever you are terminating any employee. Any employee. If you are terminating in your tenant, you will see those particular fields. We will terminate it once. Let's discuss, or if I can terminate that employee, you will. I have one doubt. Like what you said it. If there is a template, we can use a ready-made template which has been provided by worker and the client is with that. The client is not and he wants to modify the template, and definitely as per Workday, we cannot modify the template. We cannot modify it. So, as per the client requirement, can we create a business process as termination in Workday? And here we are going to create. See, business process means how your steps will be executed. Business process means how your steps will be executed. You are going to hire the employee. Business process means first manager will hire it, then the HR admin will give the proposed compensation or propose a compensation, then it will go to the HR partner for the approval. Similarly, termination also will have a business process, but hire, not a template driven. That means there is no specified template that would be written there. That you are going to enter this field or you are going to do this. For example, I don't think I will have that termination access. Suppose the client wants that termination process to be driven as per the client requirement and he wants to copy some of these templates driven. He will share some of the details like what notice spread and the reason for leaving and all the steps. You can add it up, but he doesn't want the entire template to be copied. There are 8 steps. He just wants the 4 steps. So we can create a process as termination in our business process itself. See, this is a perfect example. I was talking about the cancer. I have opened the zone that I want to terminate this employee. I will go to the actions. How to terminate an employee. I will go to the action job change and then I will terminate the employee. The moment I click on that task, it will say that you cannot initiate this action because there are other pending or completed action for the worker that conflict with this one. Close or cancel the pending actions or resend the completed actions listed below. Now, though both of these assigned organization for zone depth and lateral move are in progress. Status is in progress. So what all actions I can carry on this particular business process? I can carry out cancel and correct. I can either cancel this business process or correct this. Someone might have initiated it. Assigned business process. See on 13/6/2022, someone has initiated this. So I will go to the related actions. I will go to the business process. I don't have the cancel authority access actually. So here you will see that business process and then you can cancel the business process. I don't have that access actually because it's a training tenant. My access is limited. Where you will get that business here. For this, I'm getting a business process cancel. And correct, I'm not getting that recent option. You see that because it is, and I will only get for the successfully completed whenever my business process successfully completed. If I want to, can I listen that particular business process? So I will go ahead and I will cancel it. Now it will ask me see this business process lateral move. That means someone might have carried out lateral movements. The employee is being changed from one position to another position. Some movement of the employee is there. So that means change job is a particular business process that might have been triggered whenever this particular thing has been done. So see, this is all about the template I was talking about. When do I want this change to take effect? 622. Why are you making this change? So these are all the mandatory fields. So that is where template will come into picture. This is known as the template. That means for the start, this is the template that is being defined for the lateral move of change job business process. And this is the template that has been defined by this. So you cannot change the template, but you can hide or you can make visible the particular domains. That means job profile is a domain. For the change for the lateral move. Change job lateral move. So it can be done like implementers don't have access. Shouldn't have access for this modify. I will remove the implementer groups from the modify. I have shown you the modify one. The modified tab was then the template driven. So I will remove the implementer security group from the modified tab of the job profile. So implementers won't see this job profile group. So here come that. That's what I was trying to explain you guys. This is known as the template that you are seeing at my screen. That means change job for the lateral move has this particular tab template. Start. These are all the domains, various domains job profile. I can hide them. I can make them visible based on the access that I'm going to provide. Only this is under my control. My client told that I don't want these many domains to be visible. It's unnecessary. Why the business title is coming up? I don't want business title to be displayed, so I can hide it based on the domain security. Only I can do unhide and hide. That's it. You cannot add anything apart from the template that is being provided by the business process and job. They have told that. Fine, I want this particular field to be visible in my whenever I'm doing the termination. Immediately, if you are a Workday consultant, you will go to the once you are finalizing the what we can say decisions of design. That this is the design that we have to follow. So immediately, what you have to do as a Workday consultant, you have to open the template and check whether this particular field has been defined by the Workday in that particular business process template or not. So if it is not defined, you can go back and tell client that instead of this field, if you want this field, we can add it because this particular domain or this particular field is not at all visible or not at all delivered by Workday for termination. So always remember, if there is hire, no need to worry about the fields. But yes, if there is a termination or we can say that change or anything template driven, open that task. You will see the business process that are template driven. Just cross-check the fields or domains. You can only control the access, nothing else. So now how you are going to carry the termination. Termination would end the association of an employee with the organization. We can initiate termination for an employee from the related actions of the worker. Termination in Workday is a configurable business process. Business process is configurable. We will configure it similarly. How we are going to configure, how we have configured the higher business process. Employee will be reflected terminated after midnight of the next day. If termination date is 31st of December, then employee will reflect terminated starting 1st of Jan 12th midnight. You got the concept. So just make noted down that if the employee will be reflected terminated after midnight of the next day. If you have given the termination date as 31st of December, then the employee will be terminated starting from 1st Jan of 12 midnight. What's the time zone that is being defaulted in your tenant setup now in your tenant? Tenant is pieces T. So the employee will be terminated effective from 1st of Jan 12 midnight. How you will come to know that the employee is terminated? So whenever that's the case, you will see that the employee name will have the terminated word added to its name. For example, if I take the example of John, if I am going to terminate the John Depp, see, I have put this employee on leave. This employee is now leave. Similarly, if you terminate this employee, you will see that John Depp bracket terminated. And when you will see this terminated, for example, if I terminated the employee 31st of December, you will see that terminated word in against his name on 1st of December. Sorry, 1st of January. Midnight, so when we type BP colon. So is there a website or is? Will Workday give us the abbreviations of the list of abbreviations? Do we have a glossary or FQs, or where can we find and work there? If you are stuck, and what is the abbreviation we are referring to? Means. For example, business process or initiation step or a workflow or compensation. So that's why we are here. We are getting trained in Workday. No, Ankita, I mean is that a list of glossary of all the abbreviations of Workday? Over it seems. Can we find it out in the Workday? I don't understand your question itself means. What do you mean by abbreviation or glossary means? We are going to other topics. So what do you want? Can you teleport to the tenant? I think, sir, you are talking about the question mark. If we put question mark, then we can actually get the prefixes. Yes, all the prefixes of business process. If you enter question mark, you will get all the prefixes that is there in your Workday and that is there delivered by Workday. What is a prefix? For example, I have opened a B, P or higher. What is the prefix? What is the abbreviation you want me to? You want to be displayed. And now I'm here in higher. What is the thing that you want? For BP, you said hire, and then we have termination, and then we have rehire. As you said, you ended access, and then we have so many processes and so many business processes. I have given you core HCM. No, that is not something that you will get all the list of the business processes somewhere. So the business process template driven. You will go to the view business process template and you will see that those business processes are template driven. And the few business processes that I have told you, they are already there. I have given you at the start. These are some of the common business processes in core HCM that we are using. So each and every module will have different business process, and once you are getting trained in that particular module, you will come to know about the business processes that are being used. For example, payroll will have their own business processes. Compensation will have their own. Likewise, core HCM has them. So I've shown you how we are going to terminate the employee, and at the end, we will terminate the employee as well. You will hire the employee, and then comes the termination reasons and categories. Usually, we will be using the one that is being delivered by the Workday. But yes, if your client wants some specific reason, you can always open this task. Maintain termination categories. I will go back to my tenant and there you can maintain the termination category if they have. See maintain termination categories. is the event, and if you want to do it for the contingent worker, then fine. You are going to maintain for the contingent workers, then fine, then employee. Terminate employee. Now I will open the terminate employee. So now the termination category name is involuntary. And there would be subcategory, workforce reduction. Whether we want to terminate the employee with the workforce reduction. That's going to be the reason, poor job performance. So we can always configure the termination categories or their reasons here. Now here you can see that one column is their reason. One column that you will configure is involuntary. And then the reason. What is the reason why you are terminating the employee is involuntary? That means the employee is not ready to terminate, but we are. We have to terminate it. That's involuntary. That's not voluntary by the employee. So that's the reason. Different reasons. If my client want to add any reason under involuntary, always welcome. You can go ahead and add it. Click on this Add Row button and you can always add the reason. Now you can see that one column is the eligible for rehire. That means if you are terminating the employee, whether you can rehire the employer in future. Yes, no. Whether this particular reason will allow you to enter that particular reason or not. You can enter it here. Yes. Whether with the workforce reduction, you want that employer. For example, if an employee is terminated for poor job performance by the organization. So the reason is eligible for rehire is no. You cannot hire that particular. That means in future also you cannot rehire that particular employee in your organization again. So that is the column from where you will be having the option of eligible for rehire. A rehire question can also be asked, where you will be configuring or how you will make sure that the employee that we are terminating can be rehired in the future. We can rehire that particular employee in the future or not. So under maintain termination categories, we can decide whether the employee that we are terminating can be rehired or not. Is this topic clear? Like maintain the termination categories. Now I've shown you the termination categories as well. Ankit, I have a doubt. For rehire also we have the same process. Like the hire. We have the same business process. We will carry out the hiring, termination, change job, and if you want, I will also show you how you are going to do the rehire, or else you can also explore it on your own if you want. I will show you once we are done with the security part, because once we are done without security, we cannot hire the employer to whom we are going to assign that particular, which security group we are going to assign that particular step. So before that we should know the security, then only we can do the hiring. Thank you. One question on rehire. When we do rehire, does the employee ID remains the same in Workday or does it change? Yes, it remains the same. It remains the same. Now manage business, and you know we have seen the worker profile also. So in that when you hire the employee summary, I have shown you the worker profile at the start of the navigation classes class itself. So in that you will see the hire date of the employer. There, once you terminate the employee, you will see the termination date. And again, when you hire that employee, you will again see the hire date only. You won't see that rehire date, you will see the hire date. You can only identify whether the employee is rehired by going to the business process steps or the worker history of that particular employer. I have shown you the worker history as well how to check the worker history. What's the history of the worker? What all actions has been performed on the worker? So whenever you are going to rehire, the date there in the summary column of the worker profile will be mentioned as the hire date only, not the rehire. It will be the revised hire date. The new hire date you hired it, that we have effective hire date, that we have rehired the employer. But in the summary, you will see that it's been. It will be mentioned as a hire date only, not the rehire date. Because if it will not be a continuation of service, because if you're using the same employee number, ideally it should have the continuation of the service and or the so. But as it is a new hire date, see new hire date, I will show you. Here, this is my profile. Jacqueline profile is there. So this is a summary tab. Here I will see that the hire date is 1/1/2000. So now again, when I'm going to terminate this Jacqueline, here, instead of hire date will be termination date mentioned here. For example, I'm going to terminate her from 9th of January. So 1/9/2024 will be mentioned here. Now again, I'm going to rehire the Jacqueline effective March 1st of March 2024. So again, instead of termination date on here, it will mention as hire date 3/1/2024. That means 1st March 2024. It won't be. The field won't be mentioned as rehire date. It will be mentioned as a hire date only. But here you will see the original hire date as 1/1/2000 only. I have a question here. If we terminate any employees, and how many days actually his or her information will be in our database? It would be there. You will see the employee terminated employee. So we cannot. Oh, it is not deleting from the system. No, never is being deleted. Always remember never, no. See, I have a terminated Jacqueline now in the month of, for example, in the month of October. But W-2 forms for the USA employee will be there. It will be processed in the 2024. And for the Indian employees, if I'm terminating, for example, I'm terminating the employee. Then if the employees are removed from the system itself, then how the Form 16 will be generated for the Indian employees and for the USA employees. W-2 forms will be generated in the next year. So never ever it is recommended or anything that will be deleted or removed from the system. So that's what I was telling you. Whenever an employee is terminated, the date will be mentioned in his or her profile like termination date here. And in brackets, for example, I'm going to terminate the Jacqueline bracket. It's terminated will be mentioned. That's it. And in case of rehire under the job details, the previous checkout will be there. Previous record, you will find another worker, history only. If you want to check the previous data when it was terminated or something like that, you can find another worker history. I've shown you the worker history at the start. See, your worker history is there all the action that has been taken care of and that has been taken on this particular worker profile. It would be mentioned here. If I want to view by the category, I can view it. Click on this. Category means any action that is specifically been taken on the staffing. That means hire termination position, changes history, or anything that has been taken care back on compensation. Specifically related to payroll. So everything will be mentioned under the worker history. So any questions regarding if an employee is terminated, for example, I'm going to terminate the Jacqueline, but few actions that is being pending in his or her inbox that needs to be taken care of. Correct? So there comes the concept of managed business process for worker. If I'm going to terminate Ankita and Ankita needs to take care of few action that is already pending on his or her in her inbox. So who is going to take care of those actions when Ankita is going to get terminated? So we are going to assign those particular actions to someone else via this task. Manage business process for worker. Usually whenever we are terminating an employee or we are any employees going on leave, long leave, leave of absence. Any employees changing his or her employee type, for example from contingent to employer, employer to contingent. Contingent means worker, that's the word that is being used. Sorry contractor, that we are using contingent word is equivalent to contractor. So here we are using it as contingent. So whenever a worker is terminated or he is going change job means transferred from one organization to another, any location change is met or done for an employee, or he has been like from contractor, he has become the employee. So definitely the actions will change. He or she cannot take action related to contractor when he is employee. Whenever an employee is going on long leave of absence, for example maternity or any medical leave, long medical leave, so definitely his or her inbox items needs to be taken care by someone else. So here comes the concept of managed business process for worker. You will see this step when you will configure the termination business process for your organization. You will insert this particular step in your business process, usually termination, change job, and all these kind of business process where the action is being transferred from his or in position or some changes are there in his tenure. So usually this step will be there for all kind of those business processes. So memorize this word, task managed business process for worker. Managed business process for worker allows to control all in progress business processes related to the worker. We can control these below mentioned categories. Inbox items assigned to the workers. Any inbox item that is pending or that has been assigned to the worker that can be taken care by this particular task. You can cancel or reassign the task that is being pending in the worker inbox. Business process. About the worker list business process, where the worker is a target object, you can cancel any process. For example, Ankita needs to take care of hire business process. I am the manager, so there also it will list. It will whenever this step will come into picture. Whenever you are terminating the employee doing the change job on any of the employee, this particular task will come and you will have all those listed items. Inbox items. Business process and delegations to the workers. Any kind of delegation. List all delegations and related inbox item assigned to the worker. Any kind of delegations that is being assigned to the workers will be listed down there. Whether these are the delegation that has been assigned to this worker. So who is going to take care of those delegations? You can assign it under this task. You will get a notification whenever you are performing it. So, for example, I am Jacqueline and I am responsible for that particular task. Manage business process for worker and I'm terminating CI. I'm just taking an example, so I will get that manage business process. Worker for CI. If CI is responsible for any business process action, it will list it down here as a table. It will list it down as a table here that these all the steps or business process that are assigned to the CI. I can reassign them going to the related actions or something. Some worker or some column will be there to reassign those steps or business process to someone else. Because I'm the security group responsible for that particular managed business process for worker. So, and similarly, if any delegation will be there, it will be listed down in a format of table. These many steps that are delegated, that this Jacqueline is responsible for the delegation. So I can delegate those steps further to anyone else. Because in the manage business process, unassigned one the reassigned steps. Can we? We have the authority or the manager or the concerned person has the authority to change the security group. The security group to reassign, step to initiation group. That is the one that will be pending only on CI. For example, I'm terminating CI. So it will list on. I'm not going to change the security group of the business process. The actions that is been pending for the CI to take action from. So it would be pending. I'm not going to change the security group. I will simply assign the actions that are pending under a CI inbox. So these are all the actions that is pending for Jacqueline to take action. No person information for Kiran. So whosoever is going to terminate the Jacqueline, it will display in his or her under that manage business process. To whom you want to assign these all steps. Jacqueline needs to take action on these topics, on these particular tasks. Someone has to take actions on these all. Otherwise, once Jacqueline is terminated, who is going to take the action? Then again the customer will come and say that my step is stuck. Now Jacqueline is not there in the system. So that's why here comes the topic as manage business process. Once the employee is being terminated, you have the authority. The particular security group will have the authority to reassign those particular steps. Assign it some to someone we can control is inbox items assigned to the workers. All the inbox items that the worker has, the concerned worker has. The business process actions that is pending for the worker or any kind of delegations. These 3 items you can reassign or you can assign to someone else. So, from HR manager standpoint, on a Monday morning, and he's a manager for about 500 employees, where about 200 are contractors and 300 are employees. And he wants to have a dashboard where he wants to see who will be terminated next month and who will be hired. So, can you set up a dashboard where at a one-stop shop? Yes, you can configure the reports, and this will be discussed in the report section. How you are going to fetch the list of the employees. Once the employee is hired, that's the end topic. After hiring, termination change, or we will be discussing that report there. By report, you can fetch all kind of deals. What all employees that belongs to this California location? I want the list. What all employees? So something sort of any kind of data that you need to fetch. You can fetch it via report. You can create the custom report and you can, based on your requirement from the client, for your own requirement, you can create the report and fetch it. Do not create custom reports until your customer says so in production environment. So this is all about the termination one. Tomorrow we will discuss the termination business process. I won't configure the termination business process fully. You are going to configure it. I will guide you just that, how you are going to configure it, and I will give you as an homework, and we will discuss the change job, because termination business process is similar as of your hire business process. But change job has some changes or it is different from your hire business process. I will guide you how you're going to create it, your termination business process, and then I will create the change of business process for you. I will maybe have to go from each and every field for the change of business process, and that's going to be change of business process is going to be our last topic for the business process. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.